Welcome to the Reinvented Life with Pamela Chanel David. Do you want to step up your game? Pursue your dreams. Be the best version of yourself. The Reinvented Life is here to help. The Reinvented Life is about courage. It's about staying relevant. It takes grit. It defies gravity. It's about taking inventory of where you are today and where you want to go. Embrace change. Make things possible and reinvent your life. Call in with questions at 888-994-4995. Now, it's time to reinvent your life with Pamela Chanel.
Well, good morning, everyone. Early morning in California. We are going to have a coast-to-coast talk this morning with our guests. We're in different parts of the country. Our producers are in Florida. I'm here in California, and my guest is coming from Texas. So we're over the whole country here this morning, but I just wanted to welcome everyone. I know we're right in the midst of the holiday season. We're right in the midst of people planning for 2024. And one of the themes that I really want to take to everyone today, to our listeners, to our viewers, is this notion of light and this notion of being an inspiration to yourself and to others. And that's who our guest is today. I could not be more excited to bring her on this show, because this notion of light is really, at this particular moment in time, what is carrying people through. Shannon King is our guest today. I could spend the entire 30 minutes of our discussion describing who she is, what she is in the world, but I want to bring her on and let her tell you her story. Welcome, Shannon. And what I can tell you first and foremost is she is the most incredible mother. She's the most incredible wife. She's the most incredible business person who has absolutely embraced what we've talked about on here many, many times, multiple streams of income. And more than that, she's a world change maker. And this is from the instant we met, what I loved about Shannon. She's created a platform that she is out there making a difference in the world. And so here she is. We're going to have a holiday conversation today. We're going to have a conversation about bringing hope, being a beacon of light, and sharing the joy in all of our lives, finding that joy, and then sharing it with others. So welcome, Shannon, to the Reinvented Life.
Thank you. My goodness, what an intro. I sure appreciate that and am grateful for the day that we met. Everything that you said about me, I could turn right around and say all of those things about you. So I'm very honored by everything that you just said.
Thank you. You know, there's those rare times in life that you just meet someone, and that's what I'm so grateful about our relationship is. It's just kindred spirits, like the moment we met. And you know how much you're part of someone's life, where we can pick up, months could go by, we don't talk, but whenever we pick up, we're right where we were. And I just love the embracing of change that you have not just taken on in your life and overcome, but actually are being to the world this light. So I'd love people to hear a little bit about your story and then where you're taking that now to inspire people.
Yeah, it's interesting, as far as the light description, because if people were to hear my full story, it can sound like one that was covered in a lot of darkness, but I as a child, a few things that were described about me as somebody that as soon as I could start talking, I'd never shut up. And so I've taken that and run with it. I'll explain a little bit how. And also that I was somebody that always had my head in the clouds. That's how I was described as a child, as if it were a negative thing, that I was always seeing the silver lining and wouldn't face reality. But truly, in a lot of ways, that was a survival skill for me, was to constantly be looking for the light in my life. But growing up from the outside in, people would think that I had this beautiful storybook life, and I believe that so many people live their lives like that now, and it's described as a highlight reel. My family was really good about living a highlight reel, but there was a lot of dysfunction, as most people probably experience. I think everybody has their family stories, but I feel like mine was extra dark in that there was sexual abuse involved at a young age by my own father. And it took me many years to realize all the ways that that impacted me, because even through those dark times, I was just somebody that my faith was very strong. Thank goodness. I spent many years, or several at least, 0 to about 6 years old with my grandmother. And that's where my faith was instilled in me. But, I never had a moment that I felt like God left me. And so my faith was very strong. And, since overcoming, God, there's so much, Chanel, just overcoming a lot of the scars of that kind of trauma, and divorce in the home. And, uh, I went through moments of really despising the skin that I was in. I had a lot of self inflicted dysfunction growing up. There was just always my search for, I believe that there's so much better for my life. I believe that there's something big that I'm supposed to do. I believe that I'm supposed to help people in some way. I describe it as like this volcano inside that was, and I still feel that way, that is still waiting to erupt. There's so much that I have to give to people. And that's really what helped me to continue to move forward, was just this pursuit of, I'm supposed to do more in my life. And so I've done that, career wise. I did a lot of things for myself in pursuit of proving that I was worthy and good enough. But I would really say in the last probably 10 years, I've been more focused on how can I truly impact others and be a positive influence in other people's life. I came out with my own podcast in 2020, and then in 2021, I was very fortunate to be able to find a pageant system that I competed in. I've never competed before, that I competed in. I won Mrs. USA Universe. That's all wonderful, but it was the platform that came from that, which was the pledge campaign against domestic violence and abuse. And I was able to really become an advocate, not only for women and children that are victims out there, but, I believe that I'm able to heal out loud so that somebody doesn't die in silence.
This using your voice for good, it couldn't be more timely than it is today. And we look at the world and we look at what's going on and how this is impacting families and entire communities, all the way up to nations and the world. Using your voice for good is amazing. And it is, when you think about the success that you have created out of a foundation of which most people would have just given up. You have an amazing resilience to you that you never give up. And actually, that is actually turning a lot of the horrific experiences that you had to endure into a triumph, because it gave you skills that people search for a lifetime of never giving up. And that is how you're helping people, just in and of itself. Not just the overcoming of the abuse in your childhood, But then the overcoming as things and life have hit you has been amazing. So it wasn't the pageantry that was driving you, it was that platform of using your voice. And I see that as only the beginning, really, of something that is expanding. I actually see it in your social media, I feel it in your presence. You have had to continually overcome, but embrace things that most people couldn't handle, to be honest. And just the health challenges that you've gone through.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Well, that's the point. It has become an
I
oh,
actually
by the
forgot about
way
it for a
thing.
moment.
Yeah. And I bring it up because, we're having a candid conversation, but you have been able to be a beacon of light and have success for yourself, but create success for others. And I see it in business as well. Not only in your real estate business, but you've adopted the notion that it's multiple streams of income for your family.
Absolutely.
That's important.
Yes, I believe that, other streams of income are not a luxury, that it is truly a necessity, especially for Americans. There is at least an $11,000 gap right now for every single American. Doesn't matter what you do, you've got to find another way to make an additional $11,000. And, real estate's been hit. It's been a very difficult year. It's been the most difficult year in my real estate career, 2023. We find ways to be nimble and overcome. But if it wasn't for the other streams of income that my family has, then we would be in a very difficult place right now. And I see everybody's affected by it. Everybody is. There's nobody that is immune to what's going on in our economy. But it's the people that are unwilling to give up, the people that have that grit, that will, no matter their circumstances, find a way, because there are ways to overcome. I believe that when we really get in a dark place mentally, it's because we're focused on what we don't have. And so one of the things that I really practice and remind myself of daily is to focus on the things that I do have. There are so many blessings, no matter how difficult life can be, no matter what darkness we're going through. There are things that we can cling to. I believe that if we wake up with a breath, that God's not finished with us. There's a purpose in our life for that day, and we're renewed, and we need to act on what life has provided us that day, whatever it is. There's always something good to look for. We can all sit in our circumstances. We can all allow that to really creep in, but it's focusing on what we don't have that can put us in the most negative head.
Well, I think all of that leads to the overall sort of approach that both of us actually share about life is how can we create the healthiest being of who we are spiritually, emotionally, mentally. I mean, every aspect of our life, it's not just physical health. It's health in every aspect of it. And even what you've chosen as far as your line of work, your second line of work, if you will, is with a company that's all about tremendously healthy products. So it's not just doing something. And when people are listening and watching this, it's not about just doing something to earn an income, but does it fit within the goals and the aspirations that you have for your own life? And so your Shannon is in every aspect, again, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically, always about creating better health. And that is that light that you bring. So whether it's the products you represent, whether it's the business you're doing, the way about the business you go, or even in support of your kids and their health and their sports and how you embrace that and support that, it all falls within.
Yeah. 360 degrees of health is how I look at it. It's about so much more than are we working out, and then what are we consuming as far as our nutrition. But if you have any of all the things that you mentioned, whether it's spiritually, physically, emotionally, um, if any of those are out of line, then your peace is out of line. And that doesn't mean that those things don't get out of line for me. I mean, one of the things that anybody knows if you do follow me is I'm not just sharing the beautiful parts of life. I mean, I think that I've really embraced being vulnerable, a sincerity and vulnerability, because that's really where you connect. I think that's why Chanel to connect is you have that vulnerability too. And it's scary. It is scary for so many people to be vulnerable, and to share truly who they are. It's kind of crazy. As children, we're just an open book, but as we grow up and we're exposed to things, those walls start to go up, and that's what separates us from people. And that doesn't mean that just sharing the good part of your life. And that doesn't mean that you have to go and air your dirty laundry either. That's not what that means. That's not what I mean by that. But being willing to truly connect and let people see you allows you to make those connections, to overcome, see the light in others, and share your light. There's so much light in the darkest parts of our life because we've overcome them, and people gain hope from that. I think if I can provide people hope to keep moving forward, then it doesn't mean I'm going to be able to impart some wisdom or words or action that's going to fix whatever it is that they're facing. But if I can share any part of my life or things that I've overcome, or how I view the world, to give them some hope to keep moving forward, then they're going to come out on the other end of whatever it is they're going through.
Yes, and particularly as we were saying in the beginning of the show, this is the holiday season, right? And it's one that there's many joyous festivities, many getting togethers with family, with friends. There's a lot of events that happen at this time of year. But oftentimes people are hesitant to either show up in that. Things may not be going as they wish they were in their own life, so they retract, or they're feeling lonely at this time of year when those things are happening around them. They're seeing them happen, and then they don't have that in their own life. So it can also be, for as much light as there is this time of year, there can be, as you were saying earlier, a lot of darkness. And so what kind of advice would you give people to not feel that despair if there are people out there, which we know there are, that are not feeling just great at this very moment?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I would say is it's okay. Give yourself some grace and don't beat yourself up. And there's nothing wrong with you if you are feeling any kind of despair or that darkness. I have friends that are experiencing their first holidays without their children that they've lost, and those things are real. I even went through a moment recently. It's this time of year is very difficult for me, or could be. It could really bring me down, and I have those moments because I long for what was. I long for a family that is still on this planet that is not a part of my life, because there were so many good times mixed in with the bad, and I long for that. And my children have, except for one is still at home, thank goodness, but they've moved out and are moving on with their lives, and I could really sit and focus on poor me and long for what used to be, the laughter and the little patter of their feet, running around in the house. And I caught myself in that moment, and what I did, and I always turn to faith. So, that's what I'm going to talk about. I encourage you, wherever your hope comes from, wherever you find your peace. Mine, for me, is in prayer, and that's what I focus on. And that's where I go. But go to what brings you peace. It may be a friend, it may be a mentor, it may be an activity, it may be just removing yourself from the parties, the gatherings, because that is affecting your peace. What is it that provides you calm? What is it that feeds into your hope? And spend some time doing that.
That's beautiful. And that's tangible things that people can do. And that's what I love this show to be about. This term reinventing is a constant embracing of looking at what's reality. And is reality what it was 5 minutes ago, 5 days ago, 5 months ago, or 5 years ago? Is it relevant today? And what can one do when faced with adversity of any magnitude to find that peace, as you said? And that's the most important. That's really the platform of reinventing, is embracing that change, coming up with the sequence of how people can do that, so that as things change around them, they're able to sort of find that peace, and find that not just peace, but almost land with some like feeling that they're on solid ground. Because this lack of feeling on solid ground right now is very real for a lot of people.
Yeah. And I mean, freedom to me is peace. It's the most important thing that we need to protect, is our peace. It's what I pray for, is to find peace and joy. I know where both of those come from, and I find those in him. But it truly is very simple to focus on what we don't have.
Yes.
And if people listening will hear me when I say that, when you think about when you are angry, sad, mad, what are you focused on? It may be your lack of health. It may be your lack of finances. It may be your lack of time freedom. It may be your just lack of laughter. It may be that you're focused on, I don't have any friends. I don't have. Anytime I'm talking to somebody and they're in a negative headspace, or circumstances are really getting to them, what is coming out of their mouth is what they're lacking. So, we talk about embracing change, and this initiate some change in your life.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been able to start with my physical being. Anytime that things are not going right for me, if I will get my physical being in place, get some consistency in the gym, everything else falls in place. It just starts to fall. It truly does. I start eating right, which makes me feel better. I'm in a better headspace. I have more energy, so I'm able to give more to my children, my husband, my work. Maybe start there, but initiate that change. Change is going to happen around us, and we can embrace it, but be a change maker. I believe in initiating change. I get bored if something is getting monotonous for me, if I feel like I'm not inspiring people, well, I'm not inspired. Anytime that I feel like I'm not inspiring others to do better, it's because I'm lacking inspiration, and I need to do something that's more exciting in my life. If you want to be interesting to people, do interesting things. And that's where I feel like I can help others, is by staying inspired, and that keeps my life more exciting. But I give some tough love too. Also, I give tough love too. Meaning,
Yeah.
if you're listening to this and you're going, "Oh, they don't know, they don't understand what's really difficult." Yes, we do. We do. And we've been through a lot of difficult things, and I've been through difficult things too, but you've got to suck it up. You get one life. You get one body to live this life in. Is this what you want out of the rest of your life? There's nobody keeping you where you are. So initiate change in your life. Go out and write that book. Start your podcast. Start working out. Change your diet. Quit your job and start a new one if that one is completely firing you. You get one life. If all you do is live your life to please other people, you're a prisoner of people.
No, absolutely. And this falls right into what we talk about all the time. I know you and I have talked about it. I've talked about this with multiple people and helped them affect their life, which is living life not by default, but by design. Designing what you want it to look like and doing the things that'll lead towards that design. Because there is this conditioning that people get into that keep them on autopilot, keep them on living their life into default and stepping back from what they could be doing, which is creating.
Mhm.
And that
Yeah,
is
I think
key.
people have this misconception of time. It's not guaranteed. If this is truly, if this is your last day, what would you do with it? Is not
Exactly.
promised. And there's this complacency in the world because people are under this impression that time you have more of it. you and we don't. The one thing that I forgot about, being diagnosed with cancer in 2021. I'm still on treatment for that, and that was a big wake up call for me. Even though many things in my life, I'm somebody that, like, I'll go skydive, I'll bungee jump, I'll um compete in a pageant, I'll do a bikini competition. I want to go out and do things with my life, and I feel like I've done a lot of them, but it was a big wake up call for me that time is not promised. And um, it applies some pressure, some self inflicted pressure to do more. But oh my gosh, y'all, go live your life. Please. It makes me sad. Like that, if there's something that will make me sad, Chanel, it's when people either give up on themselves, or they're so terrified that they're going to disappoint somebody that they just are crippled by it. So they don't do anything. They don't try anything. Um, Stop trying to please people. Stop trying to live up to expectations that are not real. I mean, most of the stuff that you see on social media is so far from the truth that stop allowing it to cripple you.
Well, the biggest cell that one can lock themselves in is their own mind. And just how magnificent you are that you can actually, through anything that would basically flatten most people, you can see the good in. And that is something that I would encourage everyone listening and everyone seeing this is inspire others by showing them what can be possible. And that helps people to bring purpose back into their own life. Because so often we find that people have lacked the purpose. If you go to 30 people this week and ask them, what's the purpose of your life? It's amazing. Bigger percentage of that won't even be able to answer that right off the cuff. They will not be able to answer the question of what the purpose of their life is. And that's, as you say, the most important part is to live their life, to live into what brings them that purpose and being here. You
It's
said it
amazing that
so.
you started this off with about the light. And I had just recently written something about this because we all search for our purpose. And it was such simplistic words that I read, but it was that he is the light, and my purpose is to live in the light and be a light. And that just simplified life. If all the actions that I'm taking each day, and no, they're not all going to be rosy. And yes, I go through dark times. I just pull myself out of them. But if I can just somehow impart some light on somebody else, it may be a simple quote, it may be a coffee joke. I don't know. But if I can just somehow shed some light in somebody's life, no matter how small each day, then I feel like I'm fulfilling my purpose.
It's completely unrehearsed, as you know, and the most perfect way to wrap this up. Would you read that again? Because that is the essence. To me, not just of this show and not just about reinventing, but of the purpose of life. If you'd read that one more
Yeah, I
time.
didn't read it. So it
Or
was that
say,
he is the
yeah,
light. He is the light, and my purpose is to live in the light and be a light for others. So if each day I can impart even the tiniest light on somebody else's life, then I've fulfilled my purpose that he has for my life.
it's so beautiful. I want to wish everyone happy holidays, joyous holidays, one of purpose, one of light, in whatever form and shape that takes for you. I cannot thank you, Shannon, enough for your time, your wisdom, really just your love of life and of people, and just the beacon of light that you are in this world.
Thank you. I feel the same about you, and I just wish I could hug you. I hate that we're so far apart, but I'm honored to be here, and I really appreciate you having me on.
Well, we will have to make it a point in 2024 to get together in person. I think that would be a beautiful hope for both of us, actually. But yes, I want to hug you too. Virtual hugs to everyone watching and listening. And we will see you next week. Thank you again, Shannon.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Thank you for tuning in to The Reinvented Life with Pamela Chanel David. Tune in each week so we can work and grow together to become the best version of ourselves. Keep striving, keep dreaming, keep working, and embrace change. You may contact Pamela Chanel at info@thereinventedlife.com.